Today is June 1st, and I'm Derek O'Shea, and this is the Derek O'Shea Show. We made it to June, people. Biden today is traveling to Tulsa. Good for you, Biden. Tulsa, a beautiful place this time of year, as they are marking the 100th year anniversary of the Tulsa massacre. Biden today is going to make a bid to root out systematic racism. Biden, it's systematic. You're part of the problem. What got you elected is actually part of the problem. What you've been in Congress and Senate and living in politician life, you're part of the problem. So you can't put any money. You can't do anything. We have to dismantle the system. Don't you know that by now? Oh, right. You don't know that. But according to him, he's going to be pouring $100 billion into minority-owned businesses to get rid of unfair housing appraisals. Why? You got to slide that in, right? We're going to give all these people money. And can we talk about these housing appraisals? Not a big fan. So he's going to say this in Tulsa today. To root out systematic racism, he's going to put $100 billion of your tax money into minority-owned businesses. You might say, hey, that's a wonderful thing. What's wrong with that? Oh, because it's racist. God. Can you imagine you're a white person, you're in a minority-owned, you're in a very heavily dominated minority district, you're doing great things, maybe all your staff is minority and POCs, and you're just like, you have a great thriving business, but you can't get anything because guess what? You're owned by a white person. And that white person, despite his whole or her whole history of maybe her family and their family and his own, of never being racist and actually being just a good, decent human being in American society, and maybe fought in wars, maybe did all these things for America, and he's traced back his whole family dynasty and finds out that none of the people were racist, and actually none of them owned slaves, and it doesn't matter because you're white. There's nothing you can do. Resistance is futile. You have to accept that you're just a big, fat racist. This is like the dumbest thing in the whole world. And you can't, as I keep saying, you can't argue against CRT. You can't argue against it because it's systematic. You have to reject it at its premise, or else you just engage in their own dialect. You engage with them, then they will make you feel like it's like one of the old middle school thing. Does your mom know you're stupid? You can't say no because then you're like, oh, she doesn't know you're stupid. And you can't say yes because then you would say, oh, so you are stupid. So you have to say, that's a stupid question. I'm not even going to answer that because it's dumb. I reject the premise. I reject everything about it. But as always, Democrats throwing $100 billion into a problem. That's the Democrat solution, isn't it? Hey, there's a problem here. Well, I guess we just put money towards it. That'll help. I mean, that'll solve everything, right? It might fix it for a second, but will it systematically uproot racism? Absolutely not, because it only encourages racism against people other than POCs. But that's okay in today's society. Just ask Lori Lightfoot. Hey, I'm only going to get questions from black or brown reporters. You white people have had enough. That's like this whole uprooting racism, CRT, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, it only encourages racism, and it only makes white people get more angry because they're being racist towards them, and it only encourages racists to continue to grow and encourage small factions to continue to grow. And hey, you're not allowed to say that online, so you can go into these secret chat rooms or these private forums. You can talk like that all you want. They're just creating little racists everywhere. They want to dismantle the system, and Biden is just following suit. Senator Tom Cotton says that all evidence points towards those labs in Wuhan as source of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. Cotton also said that if China continues to try to cover up the origins of the virus it's reasonable for the American people to draw the conclusion that China is covering up an accident in those labs. Yes, duh. Some of us have been saying this for years. The fact that you're not allowed to question it makes you wonder why that's not allowed to be questioned. It's like, hey, you can ask all these questions, but if you ask this question, you're not allowed to ask that question. And so the logical thinking person that has a scientific brain or thinks and asks questions like why, some people don't ask that question, ask the question of why. But a logical thinking person that asks a question on why would say, why am I not allowed to say this? It makes me feel like you're hiding something. Ergo, why would I believe the CCP anyways? Speaking on Fox News with Gina Perino on Saturday, Senator Rand Paul, shout out, very worried that U.S. funding is being used for the Chinese Frankenstein super virus bioweapons. Yes, me too. I'm worried about a lot of things we spend money on. It's such a waste that we throw our money everywhere. And we give money to the CCP to do this? For gain of function? A very, very American way of things, too. It's like, we don't want to engage in gain of function because we know it's bad. We'll get China to do it. China, you do the research for us. We'll give you money. And if anything bad happens, we'll blame you for it. But it is their fault. Let's just be honest. But the fact that we were giving money, these politicians and the way their brain thinks and how we just throw money to all these nations around the world while we're in massive debt, and just Joe Biden says we need to have an infrastructure bill because our roads are failing. Well, take money from some of these other countries that we give to and maybe put it in our own. Maybe fix, you know what they say in the airlines, put your mask on before you put the mask on your neighbor or your child. Because if you can't help yourself, how are you going to help others? The editor of China's state-run Global Times has reportedly warned that the communist China needs to prepare for nuclear war with the United States after President Joe Biden ordered the United States intelligence community to redouble their efforts in investigating the origins of coronavirus pandemic. Cheers. Cheers to the end of the world. State-run Global Times pushing that propaganda. Hey, Biden, if you so much as lay a finger and try to investigate here, we'll bomb you. We'll bomb you to smithereens, and you're going to just take it. Oh, Biden. The war machine says, excuse me? It's what we've been wanting. We're in debt. People aren't working. We need something to fight for. COVID-19 variants, this freaking story, will now be named after the Greek alphabet to reduce its confusion among the general population. But really, to avoid, as the WHO says, potentially stigmatizing regions of the world from which they emerge. And this is from the World Health Organization that announced on Monday. Just slid that one in. That's right. Because you know what the real problem is? It's not all those people that died, entire countries shut down, people's lives uprooted, kids not going to school, getting socialized, kids committing suicide over this. That's not the real issue. The real issue is the stigmatizing Asian people. Hey, that's racist. Yes, it is racist. It's so stupid. I would never look at the COVID-19 and then look at Chinese Americans or Chinese people in other regions of the world and say, oh, look at you. You're part of it, man. So racist. It's so stupid. Only an idiot would think that way. Only an idiot would look at a Chinese person in America and go, you're part of this somehow. I don't know how, but I just feel like it because of the way you look. Right? It's part of that systematic racism, right, Joe Biden? I don't even blame Chinese people. I blame the Chinese government. That's not racist. Oh, the WHO just playing along with it, playing along with the Chinese propaganda. They love that stuff. They're like, hey, you gave us money, even though you don't give us as much as America, but you're scarier than America, and we're afraid of what you'll say to us. So we'll just play along with you. And and get rid of the stigmatization of the world, COVID-19. So any other variants that come out would be like B variant, something like that. But it's okay. Spanish flu, that's okay. Indian variant, which is pushed all over CNN and MSNBC. You're allowed to say Indian variant, but you're not allowed to say Chinese virus. CDC is closely tracking the first human H1N3 bird flu case in China. This is breaking news right now. Bird flu in humans. Oh my gosh, I swear, if we go through another lockdown, I'm going to lose my mind. It turns out, speaking of losing their minds and not getting any benefit from it, turns out John Cena's apology to the Chinese Communist government, referring to Taiwan as a country, was for absolutely nothing. Because according to the Hollywood Reporter, the latest installment of the Fast and Furious F9, F9, here we had F1, F2, and we're going to give all the way to F10, because we don't give an F, dropped 85% in the Chinese box office during a second weekend following a strong opening, 136 mil 1 week prior. What'd you learn, John? That if you sell your soul to the devil, nobody cares. I mean, it's more sad than that Hollywood actors and NBA stars and stuff like that are just sucking up to the Chinese government and pretending like America's the real problem. Systematic racism is the real issue. Just following that propaganda, but as soon as they look at say things like Taiwan's a country, I'm so sorry, China. You're right. The way you treat your people is okay with me, as I'm not Chinese, so I'm not going to play a part in opening up my mouth. And I condone what China does. In fact, China, take Taiwan. It's not a big deal. Speaking of propaganda and Russia, Sergei Robokov says, a.k.a. Russia's foreign minister, Russia's deputy foreign minister, the Americans must assume that a number of signals from Moscow will be uncomfortable for them including in the upcoming days. Oh, foreign minister doing a little threatening things. What is this referring to? The remarks came after Biden said on Sunday that he would press Putin on the issues of human rights, saying that he would be making it clear and not let Putin abuse those rights. Biden. Today, actually, you're going to go to Tulsa and talk about how systematic racism is the real issue and how it's crippling us as a culture and how we need to pour this money because we're big racists. Ergo, you're telling China and Russia about how all our human rights violations, if you will, so they're just going to use you for propaganda. I saw something from the foreign minister in Russia talking about the January 6th riots and the rioters not being treated fairly compared to the rioters all summer long. I was reading the article. I was like, is he wrong? I don't think so. So Russia and China, they don't even need to push propaganda about America because the American media does it for them. Places like MSNBC, CNN, Daily Beast, lots of other, anti-American outlets, if you will. It's like hysteria sells. Making America look bad apparently sells. So they don't even have to do anything. But always, we're just going to allow it to happen. But tensions are heating up between China and Russia and us. And thank you, Biden. And the pro-war machine is like, yes, excellent. What did you say, China? Nuclear war if we keep pushing the COVID-19 variant? Maybe we should. Katherine Watkins, a teacher at Cedar Park Middle School in Portland. Public education in Portland sounds like a magical place to be. She told colleagues they would be fired if they kept up with old views on colonialism. You mean history? Yes. Don't talk about how America defeated Germany, because those Americans were actually Antifa and Nazis were conservative Trump supporters. Remember? God. She continued, Watkins equated teachers who do not agree with her views on race to pedophiles and said that her colleagues must evolve or dissolve. Her comments were made during a private $5,500 equity summit that was expulsionary for teachers in Beaverton School District to attend. Don't you love these Black Lives Matter racists that push this agenda and they charge $5,500 per person to join? They're just raking it in. Black Lives Matter, one of the greatest scams in the last few years. Hey, I know I'm buying up all these houses for me. It's for my family. I have to house them. I know they're $1 million plots, but remember how white people are racist? All of them. Every single one. Jeez. What world are we living in? If you don't agree, you must evolve or dissolve. Don't you love that? Doesn't that sound like more authoritarianism, Nazi vibes only, bro? Hey, if you don't agree with us, we're going to get rid of you. We're going to fire you. And we're going to dox you. We're going to tell everyone how racist you are. Even though you're not racist. You're actually the anti-racist. But we're the racist. That's unbelievable. And we're going to call you pedophiles, even if it's not true. We're going to call you terrible names. If you don't agree with our Black Lives Matter and continue teaching on colonialism, on old views, we're going to call you pedophiles, even though if you're not a pedophile. That's right. You teach kids and you don't teach the way we want you to teach, you're a pedophile. That's like the most unbelievable thing. Pedophiles is new racist, because racism doesn't mean anything anymore. You can't just go around and call people racist because that word doesn't mean as much because they abused it. Now we're going to call you pedophiles. God. Jeez. That is like literally the saddest thing, that people are supporting this and paid money to go to this. Old views of colonialism. Why are you living in Portland if you're conservative? I know you need to fight back, but that's just crazy. Sicilian boss Giovanni Brusca, whose crimes include having a baby dissolved in acid, has been released from prison. God. He's been dubbed as the People Slayer. Brusca has confessed to his role in over 100 killings, including the assassination of Italy's top anti-mafia prosecutor, Giovanni Falcone. Is that from Batman? That's insane. You're a part of 100 killings and you're getting released? Italy sounds like a wonderful place. The mob, I feel like the mob needs to come back to New York anyways to clean that place up. Good Lord. Naomi Osaka, the world's #2 tennis player, has withdrawn from the French Open and announced that she will step back from tennis after a controversy erupted when she skipped post-match press conferences. Osaka, who won her opening match in the tournament on Sunday, also said that she has suffered from long bouts of depression, winning the U.S. Open in 2019. And people absolutely lost their minds about this. I don't care. If you are an athlete and you don't want to do press conferences because you're like, depression, I would push back and say it's not depression. It's I don't trust what you're going to write. You're probably going to write some stupid crap about me. And maybe people should push back more on all these hit pieces that are always continuously pushed. But depression, who cares? If she doesn't want to do things because of depression, don't do it. People are like mocking her online and saying, look at all these rich people and their depression. Yes. What does that tell you? That being rich doesn't give you happiness? Maybe it makes you more lonely than ever because everyone treats you like a celebrity and not like an actual person. Maybe there's more reasons behind that. I could talk for days on that. But, it's more popular just to make fun of someone for their depression. Wow, look at these. They have everything. What do they have to be depressed about? Depression isn't like that. All right. Thank you guys so much. Oh, and today in history, how could I forget this news? In 1980, get ready for it. CNN launches. Happy 1980 CNN launch day. The world's first 24-hour television news network makes its debut. The network signaled from one of its headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, with a lead story about the attempted assassination of civil rights leader Vernon Jordan. 1980, CNN launched. God, I love CNN. They just do great work. And now, what do? They're just a propaganda machine. Congrats, CNN, for selling your soul. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Derek O'Shea Show. If you haven't checked out my Memorial Day post, check it out. It's a very heartfelt post. Also, look out for the live show that I do every Monday with Carissa. It's always a good time. Maybe we'll add more shows in the future. Who knows? It's a long conversation, but I hope you guys enjoy that. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts on it. If you have any questions about sources, I'll be happy to supply you with some sources. You can email me at thederekoshea@gmail.com or contact me on any social media platform. Yeah. Have a great day. And as always, I'll see you on the next episode of the Derek O'Shea Show.